Hi everyone and welcome back to Newegg TV. My name is Paul and today I'm going to be doing an overview on this Micro ATX mini tower computer case. This is the Fractal Design Arc Mini. So here's a look at the Arc Mini computer case itself. As you can see, it has a matte black finish all along the side there. They've done a really good job with the paint job on the case, and it is black throughout, so interior is also painted just in the same way that the metal on the exterior is painted. Up here on the front bezel, we can see what appears to be a brushed aluminum finish. However, this is not actually aluminum, it is a plastic front bezel, but they've given it a brushed aluminum look, and I must say they have pulled it off quite nicely. It does give it a nice clean look on the front of the case. Also up here at the top, you get a couple 5 1/4 inch bays. You get your Fractal Design logo right above there. Here is some honeycomb mesh with some foam screening right behind it, and that's for your intakes. This case does come with 3 pre-installed silent fractal fans. And while I'm up here, I might as well pull the front bezel off, just because I like to do that. So here in the back, you can see where you would pop these little tabs in to pull off your 5 1/4 inch panels on the front. There is your intake fan that comes pre-installed, 120 millimeter right there. You've got another mounting bracket right below that for an additional 120 millimeter fan, and those rest right in these little slots right there to blow the air directly across your 3.5 inch drives. Your 5 1/4 inch bays up here at the top have a single 5 1/4 inch to 3.5 inch bay adapter installed, so you can go for instance, if you have a card reader or maybe a fan controller you want to pop in right there, you can do that. Or you can do 2 5 1/4 inch drives if you want to. Here's a look at the left side of the case. As you can see, there is an additional fan mount right here. You can put a 120 millimeter or 140 millimeter fan right there to give some additional airflow directly onto your video cards and motherboard. Here at the back is your 120 millimeter pre-installed exhaust fan. The white fin blades on that, again, just like the intake fan at the front. There's a couple grommets here for routing cables or water cooling hoses. You got a knockout right there for your motherboard's input-output shield. You have 4 PCI expansion slots right there, plus another one right here at the side. This one right here is very handy if you want to be a little bit more accessible reaching around the case. If you want to, for instance, you can install a fan controller knob right there, possibly some extra USB ports. Here at the bottom is your power supply mount. It's got mounting points for the vertical, or as I said, you can flip your power supply either orientation, whichever you prefer. You have mountings for both. And then also down here at the bottom, you have a nice big intake filter for dust coming in that's being pulled in by your power supply, so you can easily pop that out to clean it and slide it back into place. Your side panels are held on with black thumb screws. There's the rest of the 360-degree view. And while I'm up here, I should also point out that this entire top panel can pop off. It's got 2 black thumb screws that hold it on. You just remove those, drop them on the floor, and then you can easily pop off the entire top panel. So whether you're using this as an intake or as an exhaust, you can easily pop that off and wash out your dust filter for that. While I have that off, I might as well lean the case over like this so you can see the top. These are the slots that hold that plastic panel on with the dust filter. And then you got a couple more mounting points here for either 120 or 140 millimeter fans, and these are spaced out in such a way that you could, if you so desired, mount a 240 millimeter radiator right along those mounts. Here's a look at your front panel connectors. They all reside in this panel right here, and that is separate from that front bezel, so if you pop off the front bezel, you will not be interfering with your front panel connectors. Up here at the top on the left side, you have a reset button that's a little bit smaller, so it's not easy to accidentally push. You also have a microphone and headphone jack. You have a power button right there. It's got an integrated LED that will indicate that your power is indeed on. You also have a couple USB 2.0 ports and a USB 3.0 port. And here's a look at the bottom of the Arc Mini. As you can see, it's got some very thick rubber here on all 4 of the feet. That's for vibration reduction, as well as to protect the surface that you have the case setting on. And then there's that dust intake filter that I showed earlier that is removable. And a nice little touch here, they actually flared out the edges of the channel of this, so if you're searching to try to get this back into place, it makes it much easier. So now we're going to take a look inside the Arc Mini. And here's a look at your right side panel. It is reinforced. It's very sturdy. It does not bend or flex at all, really, and that helps for installing it or uninstalling it to make sure that the little notches here go into their respective grooves. They've rolled some edges over here to provide a little extra rigidity, and that really does help out. Here's a look at the right side of the case where your cable management happens. You've got about a half-inch, maybe a little bit more of space back here for routing cables. You've got a cutout here for a back panel for your CPU aftermarket heatsink fan. You've also got these little punch-outs here. They are tie-downs for cable management. You have grommeted holes, one up here for a supplemental CPU power cable, some others over here all along the motherboard tray, and then finally a bigger one down here at the bottom for routing power cables. Towards the front, we can see the business end of our 3.5-inch drive cages and their trays. Here are some accessories that I will come back to. Here is one of the cables that's for the intake fan on the front. These are silent fractal fans, and they have 3-pin power connectors, so you can plug those straight into your motherboard, and that will allow you to monitor or change the RPMs of the fans if you use in operating system software. They're also braided cables, which is a nice touch. Now let's flip around to this side. Again, you have that reinforced side panel. This is the one that has the optional intake mount for a 120mm or 140mm fan. At the back of the case here are some parts that you've already seen from the outside, but there's that exhaust fan, 120mm with its cable. Actually, that's the cable for the top fan. Speaking of the top fan, there's your 140mm top exhaust fan. Both cables are right here. They're, again, both braided. There are your PCI expansion slots. They have some nice white accenting with the PCI slot covers. They all have black thumb screws for toolless removal. Down here at the bottom is your power supply mount. There's some foam covering the power supply mount on the inside, so again, more vibration reduction, noise reduction from that, as well as the little feet that the power supply rests on at the bottom, right above your dust filter. Again, you have that entire painted interior for this case. The paint job is very well done, and it's very uniform throughout. Here are your front panel connectors. You get a 20-pin USB 3.0 front panel connector, so you can plug that directly into your motherboard. You get also a USB 2.0 connector for those two USB 2.0 ports. You get HD audio or AC97 audio, which are a little tangled here, but there they are, so you can use either one of those, whichever is compatible. HD audio is usually preferable if your motherboard's compatible with that. Also, you get your front panel connectors, HD hard drive LEDs, power LEDs, also your power switch and reset switch. Very important to connect those. Finally, up here at the front, you have your drive cages. There is the drive cage I showed you at the beginning, which already has a pre-installed 5¼ inch to 3.5-inch adapter. It's held on with black thumb screws. You have two drive cages here for 3.5-inch or 2.5-inch drives. This upper one is held on with thumb screws because it is removable, and it's also rotatable. So let me just show you that. Once you remove those screws, you can pop out the cage just like that. You can rotate it 90 degrees and reinsert it that way and remount it. It's very easy to do. Essentially what you'll get from that is if you have it turned this way, you'll get a little bit better access to the power and data connectors from your drives. If you rotate it that way, you're going to get a bit more clear airflow directly on top of the drive. So depending on what you're using your hard drives for, you can consider either option. Inside the drive cage, both the upper and lower one, are 6 of these hard drive trays, and each hard drive tray has silicone grommets, and that's where you mount your 3.5-inch drives. That will help, again, to reduce vibration and noise from the drives. You also have 2.5-inch drive mounts on all of these drive trays, so you can mount an SSD or a 2.5-inch mechanical drive on any one of those, and they slide in and snap into place quite easily. You have a total of 6 drive mounts overall. Here is a look at the accessories included with the Arc Mini. You get a user's manual, which will guide you through some of the features of the case, as well as some various languages. You also get this nice big baggie, which is full of motherboard standoffs. You actually also get a mounting tool here with a Phillips head screwdriver. It's kind of an Allen wrench with a Phillips head screwdriver point on one end. You also get all of the other necessary hardware for mounting drives to drive cages, some extra thumb screws, and the motherboard screws that you use to bolt into the standoffs to keep your motherboard secure. You get a couple cable tie-downs right there that you can mount to various points throughout the case to keep your cable management nice and tidy. And you also get a 3.5-inch to 5¼ wait, I said that backwards, 5¼ inch to 3.5-inch drive bay adapter right there, and that will pop into one of these panels at the front of the case. Sorry, I totally moved out of the frame. That'll pop onto those front panels, and I'll keep your front bezel looking nice and clean if you're going to go with a 3.5-inch front panel item such as a fan controller or something like that. Speaking of fan controllers, you get one here for the back of the case. So if you notice that extra PCI slot at the back, they give you this little item, which is essentially has an extra long turning knob that can be used to adjust your fan speed, and it's long enough that will stick out the back of the case so you can still access that. All you got to do is plug in this Molex power plug to that little guy right there. It's got a Molex pass-through, so you won't even lose your Molex plug. And then you plug this little splitter cable in right here, and then you can plug up to three 3-pin fan plugs into that and use this external fan controller to control your fan speeds. And that's going to wrap it up for this video. Once again, this has been the Fractal Design Arc Mini Micro ATX computer case. I'm Paul with Newegg TV. If you enjoyed today's video, please head over to our Newegg YouTube channel and don't forget to subscribe for more tech videos. Thanks a lot for watching. We'll see you next time.